Hello students, welcome back to African Academy. In today's class, we will be discussing a very important topic, a very important body, organization rather, in the government of India, which is very important from the perspective of economics. So we will be talking about the NITI Aayog today. Okay? Now, first let us understand what is NITI Aayog. What is the full form of NITI? NITI. Okay? The full form of NITI is National Institution for Transforming India. That is the full form of NITI, NITI. So what is NITI Aayog? See, NITI Aayog is a think tank. The term that they use to describe NITI Aayog is a think tank. Now, what do you mean by a think? What is meant by a think tank? See, think tank means a group of people who come together, who sit down, and they basically do deep research, analysis based on the research, and then they come to certain conclusions. And what are these conclusions for? These conclusions are for drawing certain policies for the country. Because see, we all know that India is a very diverse country. India is not a very unitary country. It's a very diverse country. There are different groups of people living in different parts of the country. Even live around people, even the climate of the country is not same everywhere. The geography of the country is not same everywhere. The culture of the country is not same everywhere. The needs of the people are different everywhere. Maybe in some places there may be a surplus of an item, but in another place the same item may be in deficit. For example, if I talk about tea, in Assam tea is very cheaply available, and moreover it is present in surplus because it is grown here. But now if I go to a place like Delhi, then price of Assam tea changes because it is not grown there. Even the availability is not as much as it is locally in Assam. So depending on different situations, the requirements and needs of people change. Now India cannot go for a one size fits all approach. Now how did the NITI Aayog actually come into being? Earlier India had a body known as the Planning Commission of India. So now this Planning Commission used to make 5-year plans for the country. Now, what are 5-year plans? See, now after the British had plundered the country, the British had plundered us for almost 200 years, 2 centuries. And after that, the British left us in a very poor state. Now, the problem with us was that our needs were huge. The literacy rate in India was somewhere around 15 to 20%, maybe something around 17%, if I'm not wrong. And the situation of people was very minuscule. There was no savings with people. Investment तो छोड़ी दो, investment की बात ही नहीं कर रहा मैं. There were no savings. People did not have jobs. People did not even have the basic food to eat to fill their stomach. People did not have homes, clothes to wear. That was the situation of India at that time. And our resources were very limited. The money, capital, everything was very limited. And the reason being that we had been plundered unlimitedly by the British for almost 2 centuries. And because of that, the resources in our hand were very less, minimum. But our wants and needs were very high because the population of India was growing. The population was high. The human capital was very high. But educating them, feeding them, it needed resources. Educating them, feeding them, making them good enough to have jobs, even to pay salaries for jobs. All of this required money. But we did not have resources at that time. So for that, planning was necessary. Planning was of utmost importance. Now, the reason being that in order, because see, if your targets are unlimited, you have many targets, but if your resources are very less, then at that time you need to have a goal of prioritizing. You cannot go all at once in all the places. You need to concentrate your resources through places which have the highest priority. You solve the problems which have a higher priority, then you go to the other problems which have a lower priority. Now the question here is that how do you understand it? For that, the planning commission used to make a 5-year plan, that in the next 5 years, this or these are the amount of resources that we have in our hand, all right, and these are the problems that we are going to solve in the upcoming 5 years using these resources. And accordingly, we will be allocating these resources to all the problems out there. जितना जिस प्रॉब्लम के लिए जरूरत है, जितना हम 5 साल में कर पाएंगे. But now this planning commission has been replaced by the NITI Aayog. All right. Now the one issue in planning commission was that the planning commission used to go for a one size fits all approach, because planning commission did not have any representation from the state governments. Planning commission had absolutely no representation from the states. The planning commission was wholly represented by members of the union government. ठीक है, states का representation नहीं था. Now the main part is that do you think all states in India have the same requirement? Absolutely not. If I talk of two neighboring states only, if I talk of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, they are just beside each other. Even then, both the states have different needs. If I talk about Maharashtra and Karnataka, both the states are bordering states. Even despite of that, they have different needs. So there are no two states in India jinke sare needs or requirements completely same. So without taking a representation from the different states, without taking the opinion of the states, if the planning and the solutions which are rolled out, if they are done at a one size fits all level, then what happens is that it does not suit everybody. Maybe some of the purposes served, as for example, poverty. Poverty is a universal issue. No matter which state you come from, poverty exists in all the states of India. But the fact is, there are many other issues as well. See, Planning Commission was a very, very successful initiative by the government of India for solving problems like employment and poverty during that time, when India was in a very plundered situation, left behind by the British Empire. Now, coming to the point, there are many problems that the Planning Commission has solved, but there were many that were still unaddressed, or I would say not addressed properly, because it did not have representation of the states. They were going for a one size fits all approach. But NITI Aayog, on the other hand, does not go for a one size fits all approach. NITI Aayog has a proper representation from the states. The state representatives from the state government of all states are present in the NITI Aayog. Now, first, let's have a look at the NITI Aayog, the composition of it. All right. The chairperson of the NITI Aayog is the Prime Minister of India. Okay. So, currently, the Prime Minister of India is Mr. Narendra Modi. So, Mr. Modi is currently also serving as the chairperson of the NITI Aayog because he's the Prime Minister. What is the role of NITI Aayog? See, the role is of being a strategic think tank. Basically, the NITI Aayog makes strategies, thinks, it makes certain policies, it researches, analyzes, comes to conclusions, and based on that, it makes certain policies which are implemented for the development of the country. Now, the point coming here is that NITI Aayog does not have any financial powers. The Planning Commission of India, which preceded the NITI Aayog, the Planning Commission had financial powers, as in whatever money or financial allocation had to be done, like plans are made, अब उन plans में जितना पैसा डालना है, all right, the money that had to be allotted to the plans, the power of the allocation was there in the hand of the Planning Commission. But there were certain clashes there, because allocation of money, the Constitution of India already gives the power of allocation of money to the Finance Commission. So, having a non-constitutional body, an extra constitutional body, Planning Commission, which was kind of breaching the role of the Finance Commission, that was an issue there. All right. Even though the job was being pretty well done by the Planning Commission, this breach of constitutional authority was another problem. So now NITI Aayog does have the planning power just like Planning Commission, but the difference is that Planning Commission had the power of financial allocation as well. NITI Aayog does not have that. NITI Aayog will forward the policies or the strategies to the government of India, and the government will decide on which plan how much to allocate. All right. Now, other than that, NITI Aayog also has a governing council. Who's there in the governing council? The chief ministers of all the states. Now, here comes the main. It has a proper representation of the state governments as well. Chief ministers of all the states are part of the NITI Aayog. And for the union territories, for Jammu and Kashmir, Delhi, and Pondicherry or Puducherry, since these union territories have a chief minister, the chief ministers of these union territories are also part of the governing council. And for the other union territories like Ladakh, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu, Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Chandigarh, for these union territories, the lieutenant governors or the heads of these union territories are part of the NITI Aayog. All right. Now let us understand what does this NITI Aayog actually foster? How does it help us? First, we have cooperative federalism. Now see, what is federalism? See, whenever in a country there is a main central government at the top, and the country is divided into many states or regions, and each state or region has its own government of its own. Like India, we have a central government and state government in all the states. And in between that, all state governments, along with the central government, they have to work together. This structure is known as federalism. Now, NITI Aayog causes cooperative federalism. Now, what does cooperative federalism actually mean? See, when all the parties, all the states, and the center are coming together and sitting in one place, whatever plan and strategy will be made, that will be made only after a proper discussion between the center and the states. So there will be proper cooperation and coordination between the central government and the state governments before making a policy. They will be equal partners. They will be equally responsible. They will be equally powerful in the whole process. So this is how it fosters cooperative federalism. Also competitive federalism. Now see, NITI Aayog has certain indexes like cleanliness index, okay, water index, SDG India index, that which state. Now these indices have some rankings, like for example in water index, whichever state will have better performance in water preservation, in water supply, water conservation, these states will have a higher rank in the index. Cleanliness index, whichever states have a cleaner environment, cleaner surrounding, they will have a higher ranking in the cleanliness index. So what happens, अब मोटा मोटा बात यही है कि सारे स्टेट्स को फर्स्ट आना है इस इंडेक्स. Because of that, the states start competing with, it's not unhealthy, it's a healthy competition, that all of them are trying to be the best version of themselves. It's a healthy competition. So in that whole process of being best among all, what particularly happens is that in this whole process, that अब सब अच्छा करने का try करते हैं, एक दूसरे से better बनने के चक्कर में क्या होता है, all of them end up doing good in performance. So this is something very good that this NITI Aayog is causing. Other than that, there is an office called the DMEO, Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office. So now this is very important because it holds the NITI Aayog accountable. Why? Because if NITI Aayog is making a plan, and if the plan is being forwarded to the government of India and the government is also implementing it, then this particular office will monitor the plan, that after implementation of the plan, what is the performance of the plan, whatever development has happened, how much development has happened, whether it's good, whether it's bad, they will evaluate the whole performance of the plan. And basically this NITI Aayog will also be held accountable. For example, if a plan, God forbid, but if a plan goes south, if it does not go as planned, then it will be monitored. They will evaluate that why did it go wrong, what was wrong, how it needs to be rectified, how it needs to be corrected, and hence there will be an accountability in this organization. All right. So this is what it was about NITI Aayog. I hope this video was really helpful for all of you. It's a very important body and it's also important from current affairs point of view that the positions in NITI Aayog keep changing. So if you keep a track of the news every day, you will know that what policies the NITI Aayog is making. For that, I strongly suggest reading magazines like Kurukshetra and Yojan, where you will get an idea of the policies made by NITI Aayog. I'll see you guys very soon again. in another video. Until then, thank you, goodbye, and Jai Hind.